Why is it important to have a backup of all your data when it's on your cloud? It's already in, say, Google Drive or Dropbox or OneDrive. We're going to talk about that today. It's a really good question. My name's Duncan. I'm the CEO and founder of 65. If you're new here, we help small businesses with productivity, security, and reputation of their business. Now, cloud backup is something that is very often overlooked, and what it can affect is business continuity. So why is backup required? Data failure is really common in businesses, in technology even. Your hard drive can break. I'm sure you've been in a position where your phone has died, or you've had an external hard drive that's broken, or your computer has had some sort of issue and you've lost all the data on your computer. That also happens in the cloud scenario as well, where you are giving your data to someone else to look after and be the keeper of that information for you as well. So it is surprisingly common that when it happens. Data loss is also really disruptive. So if you lose some data or a file or important file in your business, what will occur is you will get frustrated users, you will lose important data that takes, frankly, hours or maybe even days to put together in the first place, and you'll need to figure out if you can recover it, if it's recoverable at all, but also then if you can't recover it, you're going to have to go recreate it. So it causes a huge amount of problems in businesses when data loss does happen. And the third thing is that cloud providers have a really limited responsibility to you and your data. In other words, when you delete something from, say, Google Drive, it will be there or recoverable for about 30 days, maybe a bit less. It depends on a couple of factors. But after that 30 days, if you then discover that that file is gone and you go to recover it, they're going to be, well, not caring, frankly. And that's because they have a limited responsibility for your data. They will keep it whilst it's current. So to understand why we need backup, it's kind of important to understand how files are actually stored. So when you create a file, what happens to it? And then what is its life cycle? How does it go about its world? So the first thing is you'll create a file. And that file will be created, say, over on your computer, and it will get synchronized up into Google Drive. So if you create a file on your computer, it goes up, or you might do it directly inside of Google Drive or inside of the tool, in which case it was never on your computer at all. It went straight into that cloud storage. Now, what will happen after a period of time is that file will actually get taken away from your computer. And the reason for that is that the amount of data you can physically hold on your computer is infinitesimally small compared to what can go into the cloud. And therefore, in order to manage your computer and stop it basically exploding because it can't hold all of that data, it will get removed from your computer as you work through files and you use them, and then you move on to the next one. That older one that you haven't touched for a while will eventually get removed from your computer. So your computer, like I say, only contains the things that are most current in your daily work. So files are stored from your computer up to Google Drive, and then when you request a file after it's been removed from your computer, it will then get downloaded back to your computer so that you can operate on it. So whilst you might have the synchronization tool for your cloud system installed on your computer, you might be able to see the files and view them in your File Explorer, your Windows Explorer, etc. Files are not actually there. When you click on them, they will get downloaded to your computer so that you can then work on them. Hence, offline access and needing an internet connection is often very commonly required when you're working with a cloud system. And then when you make changes, it will then push that file back up to Google Cloud. And again, eventually it will remove it from your computer because you haven't used it for a while or you don't need it anymore, unless you explicitly say to it, I want to keep this offline. So what does backup protect against? What are the reasons that cloud backup is an important thing to have? So the first one is accidental deletion. So accidental deletion is you accidentally click delete on a file, maybe on your computer or maybe in Google Drive. What happens then? So if you delete that file from Google Drive, that file might be shared with multiple different people or multiple different computers, and eventually they will synchronize up and that file will disappear from there. And then it's gone. You literally click delete and it's gone. It will disappear from everywhere. The second scenario is malicious deletion. So that's where maybe some software that you have has infected your computer, like a virus, for example, and it maliciously deletes the file. It might be a disgruntled employee that's about to leave your employ and they might go and do that deletion as well. So again, that file that is on the system will get deleted. So like we mentioned, there is a period of time where you can recover from deletion. And what that looks like is you go into Google Drive and you find it in the trash or in the bin, maybe on the bin on your computer, and you recover it and you say, I want to undelete this. I want to put it back where it came from. And then eventually what will happen is all those files will appear again to all of the people that have permissions for that file in the first place. So it's important to note that whilst this is possible, generally you have about 30 days to notice that that file has gone and then go click the button to recover it. So you have a limited window in which to discover that. And of course, once you've worked on a project and it was several months ago, and then you come back to those folders several months later because you're like, oh, I need that thing because we're going to do the next part of that project and it's taken the client a while for us to get back to it. You look in the folder and you discover it's not there. This is not an option. Recovery from deletion is not an option anymore because that 30 days has passed. Our next scenario is malware and virus infection. So this is very common. There's all sorts of things trying to get software onto your computer to infect it, to take over your computer, to steal data from your computer, to lock it up so that you can't do anything with it, get a ransom from you, all those kind of scenarios. And what can happen with cloud shared drives is if one file, say from one user, gets infected with a virus, that will often then get synchronized up into your cloud storage. And anybody that also has access to that file, it will end up down on their computer as well. And then, of course, if they open it, their computers are going to get infected as well. So all of a sudden, you've got a big spread of quite a significant problem. And the final scenario is premature deletion. So premature deletion happens where you have a user that owns a file, and those files are not migrated or managed when you delete the user to ensure continuity, essentially. So let's say, for example, we delete this user. Any files that are attached to them will also get deleted from inside of Google Drive. And of course, if that file is shared with someone else, they will also get deleted there as well. And the user that was looking for that file that wasn't the primary owner is all of a sudden going, where is that file gone? What do I do? How do I get it? Well, it's gone because the user's been deleted. So again, the only recovery from this is by noticing that that's occurred, undeleting the user, and then managing the migration of those files. This is very common in Google land when files are stored in OneDrive, but is very easily avoided if you put your files into shared drives. And if you'd like some help in ensuring that your organization's storing your data in best practice ways inside of Google Drive, please reach out and we can help you with that. So last of all, bad integrations. So very often we connect tools to Google Drive, to OneDrive, to our cloud storage that are third-party integrations and they manipulate files and data. Sometimes they go bad. Sometimes they delete information on your storage. And you probably won't notice it because it's all happening in the background based on some automated actions. So how do we protect businesses and ensure continuity and productivity from your team because all of your data is where it should be all of the time? The first thing is with cloud backup is it should be vendor independent. So if, for example, your Google Workspace is what you use and therefore your data is in Google Drive, you should not rely on Google Drive to be the backup for Google Drive. Same with Microsoft. If you use Microsoft 365 and OneDrive, you should not rely on Microsoft to be your backup partner. You should split that stuff and put it somewhere else. There's several different ways of doing this, but make sure that it is not the same vendor. Your data is not stored in the same place, but it is external to your primary service. And having a copy of your data on your computer and then in Google Drive is not practical for the reasons that we've already discussed. Your computer is just not big enough to keep hold of all that information. Second thing is it should be a regular copy of that data and it should be taken out of your primary service and stored elsewhere at least a couple times a day or at least daily. The service that we use is called Datto and it copies it 3 times a day. And that's everything in your Google Workspace. So your email, your contact, your calendars, and then everything inside of Google Drive as well. So backup works by taking the file that you create on your computer, uploading it into Google Drive, all very normal so far. And then your cloud backup tool pulls a copy of that file when it sees an update and installs it and saves a copy of it in your cloud backup. Now, cloud backup, therefore, has a huge volume of data, because if it's doing it, say, 3 times a day, every time that file gets changed, it copies it and it creates a version of it. This also means that you can see the history of that file in terms of timeline as well. So it's not just the latest copy of it, but you'll actually be able to see the entire life cycle of that file. And of course, what happens is when you've finished using that file on your computer, it will get deleted. And then, of course, if someone deletes it from Google Drive in the scenarios that we've already spoken about, then what happens is the file still stays there in cloud backup, meaning that you have a copy of it that you can come back to. So let's say, for example, our user has now discovered that this file has disappeared and they can't find it inside of Google Drive. Well, how does that restore work? So what you do is you come all the way across to your cloud backup and you look for that file based on file name, history, modification date, etc. You look for the file, and once you find it, you can then say to it, I want to restore it back to where it came from, so back into Google Drive. Or it might be an email, in which case it's going to go back into your email inbox. And you can usually define where to put it. So it might go back to the original user, but if that original user has been deleted, it will go to a different user. And of course, once it gets restored and those sharing permissions are put back into place, our user that was frustrated is now happy again because they've got that file back through that process. So business continuity comes at a cost of probably less than $4 per month per user. It's less than a cup of coffee, and it keeps your team happy. It keeps your business on track if something does go wrong. So really important to understand why backup is important and how it can help your business maintain productivity. So it's really important to understand that backup can help maintain your business continuity should something go wrong. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe below, and we'll see you in the next one. For more information about backup and how you can put backup in place in your organization, please go to the URL on the screen and in the link below, and we'll be able to help you do that.